Hey guys, Trent at Black Horse Ranch here. Just wanted to do a video about our pastured chicken. We've got that up for sale now. Those were processed earlier this summer. We did a couple batches of broilers and we had them out in this field behind me here. And just wanted to take you through how we raise our birds and what we feed them and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to come with me, I'll take you over to the feed container. We'll show you what we feed them. We'll take you over to their tractors and we will cover all the stuff that we did with those birds this year. Let's go. This is our feed container, and it's a shipping container. It's sealed from the weather and keeps all the varmints out. So this is where we mix and store our feed for the chickens. So these back here we've got oats. The main ingredient in our chicken feed that we mix ourselves is oats, and these oats are organic. They come from Donnelly, Idaho, just over the mountain here. And those are certified organic. That's the only ingredient we have that's certified organic. So we have the oats, and then we have, we do split peas. And those are up here at the front. So these ones have actually been ground. Not sure if you can see very well there. And those we get from Boise, Idaho. And then we've got, right here, we've got hard red wheat, which is also in the chicken's diet. And then we also give them NutriBalancer. And we give them kelp, which is here. And so that makes up the ingredients in our chicken feed. And so we soak the grain. We did this year. We soaked the grain for 3 days and sprout it. And then we mix the peas in with the grain, and then the NutriBalancer and all the dry stuff in. And then it goes right to the chickens. We're gonna start moving the chicks out onto pasture today. They're ready. They're a little over 4 weeks old, and so we're gonna get them out there and get them start eating that good vegetation. last waterer set up. Alright, so we've got all the chicks out. There's our 5 tractors, so there's 123 birds. They're already getting the hang of things. When they were in the brooder, Hillary always threw in dirt clumps with sod or cheatgrass or something on them. So the birds are used to pecking at grass and dirt and that kind of stuff. So looks like the first thing they go to is the feed. And then you can see from the beginning, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a graduation of birds that are on grass. So these are the last ones we did. That one's second to last, and this is the very last. So they're all still eating the feed. But then if we come here to the first 2 that we did, there's already a lot of chickens picking around at the grass. So we can walk around the back and take a look at the watering systems. So where they are right now, we can just use the hose and pop the lids off the buckets and fill them up. You can see this patch right here in the field. This was the first run of chickens, and they went out, and then we had them come back. And so you can see they've picked over this area. It's pretty low. Not that you can really see a big difference, but compared to this right here, you can see that. So next year, hopefully that'll sprout up real nice with the extra nitrogen. And then the second batch of chickens, you can see, I don't know if you can see that there, but that swath is where they were. That's where they came back. And then they actually started down here along the fence. They started down there and they came up this way. You can see the strips right there that they came, and then we made a gradual corner and then came back over here, and that's where they ended up. So this field was a lot better when we had them out here, but like I say, we're into October now, and so this field is pretty dried up, no irrigation, but it does look quite a bit better than it did last year. And you can see we had the cows up here. We've got the cow pats, which are pretty dried out, but when it starts raining and snowing and stuff, those will get absorbed into the ground. This is our brooder that we built last spring, and it's under construction. We didn't have the doors painted, and they're not totally complete here, but Hillary and the kids have been working on that. So for part of the early spring, we had, for heat, we had this. This is a propane stove that we had in here to keep the chicks warm. We haven't finished, the plan is to insulate the inside of this, and so we have this reflective insulation which we put in the summer, and it reduced the heat in here by about 10 degrees, which was great because there's no, it's just bare metal roofing above that, so it gets pretty hot. We've got our apple cider vinegar there, which we use for the chicks when they're first getting set up. We put it in their water as an electrolyte. And then we store in these bins here, we store the ground up chick feeder. We can't soak that because we have to grind everything together. So when they're little, they get basically chick feeder. And there's our feeders and stuff there. And then on this side over here, this is kind of our staging area where we set up the grains that soak. So, and then over this little wall, basically this whole area in here where they're working on the doors, this was the brooder. So we've installed a whole bunch of outlets along the wall, you can see, so we have plenty of power for our heat lamps. And then our doors that we installed, you can see here, they're half-height doors, so we can open the top. And pretty much whenever the weather was good enough, we would open the top door on all of these 3 doors. and we would get some nice airflow with some fans and stuff in here. So you can see our heat lamps up there. And then we've just got LED lighting, which we'll sometimes turn on. We mostly try to use natural light if possible. And then we try to turn the lights off at night. When they're very first young, we leave them on for a little while, so they can kind of acclimate, and then we start turning them off at night so they can get used to the dark and everything. So we fill this part in here with at least 4 inches of pine shavings to start out with, and then as things get a little messier, we add. We got a few dogs here sneaking in. Fun on the farm. So we had, like I was saying, we had 4 inches of pine shavings in here, and then as things kind of start to pile up, and we add pine shavings as necessary to keep the smell in good condition. So in this area, we raised about 150 chicks at a time, and we moved them out as soon as we could, 3 to 4 weeks out onto pasture. So here's our chicken tractors, and you'll see these in some of our other footage. They're basically set up for the winter now to hibernate. But one thing that we did for predator protection, we have badgers and skunks and raccoons, foxes, coyotes. We added these little electric standoffs here so that we could run electric wire around the outside, and so we only did that at night basically, and we put these side by side so nothing could go between them. So this is further apart than they were in the field. And then around one, so this one here was an outside one because it has the standoffs around the outside there, and then so the outside ones had standoffs. This was a chicken tractor that we used for our laying hens. So we'll talk about that in another video. And these chicken tractors are the Soskovich style tractors, and they worked pretty good. The first time we raised chickens, we kind of had our own design without knowing any better. And this worked a lot better than that. We had our watering system on here, which we'll talk about in another video also. But one of the problems that we had was cheap buckets, and we had 2 buckets that the handle kept popping off of. They would hang from here, and then the plastic would rip out. So I ended up finding where the handle's attached, there's webbing around the bucket, and so I would drill between the webbing, and that seemed to hold better. But we'll do a review of these. There was a few things that I wanted to talk about on the Soskovich tractors. A couple of things that we learned, and just what we thought of them overall. Well guys, hope that video was informative, and I hope you learned a little bit about how we raise our chickens here at Black Horse Ranch. So head on out to the website and get you some meat. We've got whole pastured chickens for sale, and we've also got our pastured pork available as well. So take care, and thanks for watching.